just run. Make sense? All right, so with that, let's switch to a behavioral pattern. We have already seen the strategy pattern, but then let's go ahead and look at another implementation of the strategy pattern. I'm going to add a new project. I'm going to call it strategy demo. I'm going to add at least 2 classes to this particular function. I hope you remember bubble sort. So bubble sort is going to have a public function, which is going to return an integer array of sorting inputs. And this input here is going to become an array in itself. Now, when a sorting function, let me pick up bubble sort code from the internet. So bubble sort itself is going to look like this. And instead of array, let's just change this to the input. And I'll need a swap function. All right. So it is swapping using pointers. I don't want that. Bubble sort using C#. All right. So this is a lot better. And then it wants number.length. Do that. So we're going to change this to numbers. We're going to declare a variable called numLength equal to God, why do people write such programs? I'm going to need a flag. I don't know what this guy is doing, but I'm hoping that this is going to work. And instead of array, we're going to call it number now. And temp, let's declare temporary variable here in line. And it is interesting. It is returning the same collection. So I can leave it void, or I can use the same function, but I'm not a big fan of the methods that are doing something interesting and not returning anything. And that is called as programming by side effect. You should always avoid that. The input that is coming in, you should not modify that input. Now, I just wanted to I want to demonstrate the strategy pattern, and that's why I'm not fussing more about this, but I'm hoping that this function is going to work. So let's just put this to working first. Let's see if I call var sort equal to new bubbles sort. Right, and I'm going to say sort dot. I'm going to call the sort function, and it is expecting a series of numbers. I'm going to give it that input using the new integer array, and I'm going to pass some random numbers to it. 5 and 9 and 1 and 12 and probably say 3. All right, if I pass it the series and expect an output, I can do a for each on each item from the output collection and just print those output here. So at the end, I should see 1, 5, 9, 1, 3, 5, 9, and 12. Okay, one little change. And I wanted to show you this as well, that when you have multiple projects, you can right click on a project that you want to run and set it as the startup project. And this program now becomes the entry point. It's going to come look for the program class, the static main function, or just some this code sitting inside this file. Right now, if I hit Control F5, hopefully it is going to come out sorted. So it is descending sort. All right. Now, I wanted to, there are multiple algorithms that we have studied. One is bubble sort, the second is insertion sort, and depending on so just pasted the bubble sort program. Depending on what kind of program you want to write, the sorting output is going to be the same. There are situations where you would want to apply these sorting algorithms a little more consciously. So I'm going to change this to insert sort. And this is bubble sort object, right? Now, our program has at least two ways of sorting. We know how to sort using insertion sort. We know how to sort using bubble sort. I know that the algorithms both are same. I just wanted to have two parallel implementations going on. When you want to have a flexibility of switching from one way of doing things to another way of doing things, this is when strategy pattern comes in picture, right? If I replace this line here with new insertion sort, I should have called it insertion sort. Let's do that now. And then this is another feature. When you rename a C# file, Visual Studio is going to offer you to rename the class also. I'm going to hit yes and notice that the class has been renamed. All right, so very cool feature. So when we switch strategy, nothing kind of changes, right? We are getting the same output as the last time. We are sorting. It is just that we have switched from one way of doing things to another way of doing things. And when you see a situation like this, we should extract out a common interface. And to extract out interface, the easiest way is you click on this extract interface refactoring option from Visual Studio. When you do this, it is going to give you a nice interface name based on the class, but then I'm going to call it I'm going to change that. I'm going to call it iSort strategy. I'm going to put it in a new file and I'm going to pick up the only function that the public function that it has. I'm going to hit the OK button, and through that we have a new interface. It is already given syntax for extending it. I'm going to repeat that inside the insertion sort as well. Now I'm going to make a quick change in our application. I'm not going to use the var keyword. Now, this is why I don't like using var keyword, but because I use it consciously, I am aware of what I'm doing. Var keyword is a syntactic sugar. It means it is going to make programming easy. But then with that ease, if you're not aware, it is creating an object of bubble sort. Now, what we learn in these solid principles is that we are not going to code against concretion. We're going to code against abstraction. And that abstraction for us is the iSort strategy interface. I'm going to go ahead and replace sort and sort2. So now we have two strategies using which we can sort. Make sense? If I hit Control F5, it is going to pick up the first strategy because of the sort object, but we have kind of abstracted out which strategy we are choosing. And if I once again go ahead and add our infamous app class, in this app class, I can have iSort strategy. I'm going to call it sort strategy. I don't have to call it sort strategy. I don't like putting the pattern names along with the interface. I would just call it iSort on a regular day. But then because I want to demonstrate the purpose, the intention, I'm just using those keywords. When you are coding, you don't use that. I'm going to call it sort strategy. And in the run function, I'm going to move everything that was there in the program code. So I'm going to move this call out. In the run function like this. I could have done this as well, actually. Right, and then instead of underscore sort strategy, we're going to call it sort numbers. And now I can control which sort object I want to pass here. Makes sense? So depending on what object I'm passing, the app function, the app class run function, they are not going to care about how you are doing it. As long as the sort function is defined in those concrete implementation, this code is going to run just fine. And this is the strategy pattern. It falls in the category of behavioral patterns. It controls what algorithm you would want to pick. And those algorithms, they are going to change how you are doing things, right? Let's go ahead and change the insertion sort strategy from greater than to less than. So it is going to become a different type of sorting. So in the program, I have to call app.run. Now, if I hit control, let's go ahead and debug this. I'm going to hit F9, hit F5. All right, and then it has taken sort2 object, right? If I do F11, it is going to point to using underscore sort strategy. Notice that it is pointing to the insertion sort implementation, right? And now if I hit F10 a couple of times, it's just going to print those outputs. I'm going to hit F9 here, set a breakpoint, and hit F5, so it's directly going to jump and will not be stuck in this for loop. And now if I see the output, if you now see the output, it is ascending order, right? Because of the second strategy. If I hit F5, this program is going to run to completion. And I have the flexibility of switching from sort2 to sort. And if I hit control, I'm just going to run it. And it is the descending order sort, which is coming from the bubble sort implementation, right? So what we've done is we have found out one way of doing things. And then when we found out that there are multiple algorithms that are possible, I took away the object creation and I replaced one algorithm with another. I gave the application the flexibility of choosing the algorithm, right? As long as they have the algorithm, as long as they have the correct object, that algorithm is going to just fit into this particular code and things will just work out. Once again, we can use dependency injection, do services.add scoped, and point isort strategy to bubble sort and isort strategy to insertion sort. And then the dependency injection framework, it has an option of letting you choose which implementation you want to call. I'm not going to show it to you right now because that's going to be too much of dependency injection. It is an advanced concept. I'm going to save it for a later point, right? But you don't have to use new keyword for your custom classes. Somebody else can do that for you with the flexibility of having of choosing which implementation you want to call. Make sense? So with that,